All right, good evening. It is October 17th. I just got back from Las Vegas. We did the house meeting at the Bunker Project over the weekend on Friday. And then I packed up some boxes of books so I could make some space for an extra refrigerator. That's been one of the issues at the house. We only have one fridge, but we have 5 grown men sharing that fridge. So we need another one, we need 2. So that's the issue with the moving the books, making some space. Anyway, house meeting went really well. We had Ross Bryant from UNLV come by, talked about all kinds of benefits the VA has to offer, the schools have to offer, all that kind of stuff, social programs on campus through the Rebel Vets, so that was great. It's good to meet one of our new roommates, Steven, who I haven't been able to meet yet since the house manager moved him in, and so that was all done by phone with me. So it's pretty exciting to see the house manager kind of stepping up in that role, working out pretty well. Hopefully it's not too much of a burden for him. And the exchange of that, of course, is that he gets to pay no rent at all. And the other guys only pay 8 months, or people only pay 8 months with 4 months forgiven. So anyway, so that's the Bunker Project deal. And I was kind of, I guess it kind of hit me. This is why I wanted to get on here now, because it kind of hit me coming back home and just realizing like all that I've given away. Because I was going around the Bunker Project house and just at that Oregon house, that was my last post. I was at my house in Oregon, showing all the furniture and stuff that I was getting rid of up there in the house, and now at the Bunker Project house, I gave away all my furniture there too. So anyway, so I'm here at this place. This is my new place. Just renting a condo temporarily until I can free up my VA loan. So that's another part of the whole sacrifice. This is my dining room, and this is my living room. So at least got a chair finally, a couple chairs. Yeah, so empty place, just starting completely from scratch, which is fine because I sold that house, so I'll be able to go just scoop stuff up, no problem. But it's just a reminder of like, man, I've really kind of put myself out there. This was the sacrifice I made. It was get rid of all my own stuff, essentially. Like, it's the only way I could think of to be able to get a nonprofit off the ground while doing a PhD at the same time. Because I wouldn't have had time to go out and ask for donations and do the appropriate, networking and hustling that needs to be done as a nonprofit leader to get your nonprofit successfully off the ground. Anybody who studied business and stuff like that knows that most businesses fail, especially like within the first 5 years. We've been up for 11, so I guess we're doing okay, even though we don't have a huge, footprint, I guess, yet, but we're still afloat, so that's cool, and growing and getting better, so I'm excited. But yeah, I just really wanted to just kind of show you my house, show you how I'm living, give you an idea of like the sacrifices that I've been making to get the project off the ground. A lot of these vlog posts were about trying to, help other entrepreneurs, maybe other people in the nonprofit sector. Just any kind of like learning tool for somebody else who might be in a similar boat, doing something similar, maybe thinking about starting a nonprofit, starting a business. So like, even the richest guys in the world, talk about the sacrifices they had to make. I think Jeff Bezos' parents refinanced their house to give him the money to help him start up his business. Elon Musk talks all the time about sleeping in his car, or not in his car, but in his office and stuff like that. So so this is me. This is my sacrifice as an entrepreneur. Just the only way I could find was give away all my own stuff, give away the house, give away my car, give away all the furniture and everything else inside the house. Feels kind of nice now, actually, to not have a TV. So my TV space now is a book stand. There's some boxes of books to go up there. So nice to not have that mind control device. If we could get rid of these phones, that'd be the next piece, but not until retirement, unfortunately. So for now, I think that's all I really got. I refinanced the house. I purchased another car. So I purchased a Chevy Cruze for rent on Turo. And that's more of the HKV side. So the Tesla is the one that's dedicated to the house and used for the house. Then HKV in general is, you know, to fund and grow the nonprofit, and then also to fund and grow my own life. And be a better father to my son, that kind of stuff. Move down here, be closer to him was one of the challenges. You know, until I could get that nonprofit stabilized enough, I couldn't move away. I was kind of stuck living there just to be able to make the bills. So finally got it stabilized enough to where I was able to move away and be closer to my kids. So that was the biggest sacrifice that couldn't continue making. You know, there's just some sacrifices that, you know, just too much. We tell you when you're on an airplane, make sure you put your mask on before you put on anybody else's, and that's basically what I'm needing to do now. Is I went around and started putting masks on others, and kind of hurt myself in the process. And I was okay with that until I had a kid, and now that I have a kid, it's like, okay, I can't keep making sacrifices like this if I have a 4-year-old son. This isn't an adequate living arrangement for a 4-year-old. So yeah, got to get things set up and figured out. So that's what the HKV side is about. You know, I've had a hard time getting out there and connecting with potential donors for the nonprofit. So I started an LLC and see if I can be my own major donor. And then as other people see me donating and supporting, maybe they'll get behind me and chip in a little bit as well to cover up the other 1/3 that's required to come from non-major donors. This idea, but I needed to have something going, something to actually show rather than just an idea. And it was told to me early on when I was interning for the nonprofit. I went around and asked, I did talk to some potential donors then when it was just an idea. And so like trying to talk about prevention. So like this is an old whiteboard. So I'm gonna start doing like some actual presentations. This is an old whiteboard I have. So I don't know if you can read these. I think they're showing up backwards, but that one says, so these are all the issues that the Bunker Project tries to do through our housing program and tries to work on. So we got education, mental health, government services, you know, so we're trying to fill in a gap of government services, you know, so Jabble doesn't cover during the breaks. All right, well, we'll fill in that gap, no problem. You know, what do we got? Underemployment, or unemployment altogether. You know, that one, a big issue. You got a lot of vets sitting around like me on VA disability, and you know, that's not exactly contributing to society. Got a lot of veterans who don't use their GI Bill, so they're working jobs that are way below where they should be if they just used their GI Bill and got their degree. So that's the underemployment side. What else we got? Incarceration. So that's the main one. So like I talked about with doing the death penalty cases, or in some states don't have death penalty, life in prison cases. But either way, you know, those ones were like, what was the common factor that got people behind here? And it was always a failed transition, you know, failed ability to like reintegrate into civilian society. You know, whether it was the underemployment thing, got connected with the wrong crowd, got reconnected to their old crowd. You know, a lot of us joined to get away from bad neighborhoods, to get away from dysfunctional families, stuff like that. So when you get out, if you go back home, you know, that's the case of this guy, the one that I was working on up recently. Trying not to give away too much information. Anyway, the recent one, yeah, totally just that, you know, went back home after leaving the service, got caught up with a family who was into drugs, and that led to a murder charge later down the road. So, you know, in my mind, and what the research shows is that, you know, if this person had gotten connected as they were getting out to education and not have fallen back into those old ways, they probably wouldn't be where they're at. And then of course we got homelessness. That was a big issue, especially under Obama. He put out a bunch of money to kind of help with that issue, I guess. And then we've got family and then suicide. Suicide's the big one that's kind of taking over the nonprofit industry lately in the veteran community. Suicide rates are very high. They're continuing to go up, actually. The active duty Army suicide rate was, I'll share it. Anyway, it was the highest it's been in a long time. Just over this last quarter or whatever, their quarterly report that they put out about suicide stuff. So, so that's an issue there. You know, suicide, basically just social connectedness, you know, dealing with the situations. That's usually situational when suicides happen. You know, so there's some kind of issue that pops up, some kind of crisis, and the person can't see a way out, you get tunnel vision. And so that's what ends up happening, is they just end up taking their own life. That's the only way they see out. But it's usually temporary. So you just need some outside vision, you know, someone else to open your lens a little bit, you know, let some light in, that kind of thing. So that's it with suicide. But anyway, trying to explain like how a student housing program deals with all of those issues has been quite the challenge. And it's not just quite the challenge for me, it's quite the challenge for all nonprofits. Any nonprofit that's ever tried to do a preventionary program in the United States has generally not done well and doesn't usually last very long. And so that was kind of my test here with this nonprofit. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do these videos was to kind of get out that awareness that like, that's what the research says is missing, is preventionary measures. You know, over and over again, it's stressed, prevention, 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 that we have all this reactionary stuff. The reactionary stuff, yeah, it provides jobs, you know, for the people doing the reacting. You know, it creates a perpetual cycle of homelessness, perpetual cycle of incarceration, you know, but it doesn't solve any of the issues, you know, like reacting to a suicide after it happened already. Like, well, all you can do is deal with grieving family members and friends and stuff like that. There's, you know, there's no helping that person at that point. Incarceration, once you have a label, you know, arrest record, like you're burnt in a lot of job fields, especially anything that requires any kind of background check. You know, and then along with that, you're now burnt in housing. You know, most apartment complexes especially are real strict about who they'll allow to live there. So now you're cut out of the workforce, you're cut out of the housing world, effectively banished, you know, when you get involved with the criminal justice system. So reacting to people after they've committed a crime, like, well, that's not very good. You know, we have veteran treatment courts that are meant to do that, but even those are meant for, you know, lower level crimes. Like, you're not getting into a veteran treatment court with the type of crimes that I work on. Like, those cases would never ever be accepted, because they're almost always murder and stuff like that. So anyway, like, that's the whole point of the prevention, is like reacting doesn't really work, but prevention doesn't get the support that it needs, you know, because you can't show the things that the donors want to see. Especially, you know, they want to see efficacy, they want to see change, they want to see, you know, results. And if you're preventing something from happening, like, or trying to prevent something from happening, like, it's hard to show, you know. So how do you show that, like, okay, we've got 5 veterans, you know, in our student housing house, and so how do I show that, you know, we've prevented them from murdering anybody or killing themselves or, you know, ending up on the streets homeless? Like, we can show that, like, okay, they're not homeless because they're clearly in a house, but you know, again, prevention, trying to focus on veterans as they get out of the military, you know, before they end up homeless in the first place. So, you know, it would look a lot better, right, if I was taking people, like, going out to the streets and scooping people off the streets, you know, into the house and, like, and saving them essentially. But you know, that doesn't prevent them to getting there. You know, they're already there. You know, and once people get to that level, you know, once you get to the point where you're actually living on the streets, like, there's a lot of stuff to unravel at that point. You know, there's usually for men, I know the two biggest correlates with homelessness are having a criminal record, specifically a sex offense record, and then back child support. You know, a lot of guys will choose to live on the streets rather than pay their ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or whatever child support. Because if they go get a job, they'll have to, they'll have to get their wages garnished. So, kind of sad. I don't know who for, I guess all parties. But anyway, so yeah, that's like the stuff that ends up having to be dealt with, you know, and then you know, a lot of addiction stuff, a lot of mental health stuff, you know, just basic hygiene issues that come with living on the streets, you know, getting used to not showering for a long time, not trimming your nails, haircuts, you know, just all the problems that come with ending up homeless. So, you know, it's kind of hard to show, like, unless we're doing that, unless we're taking people directly off the streets, which we have, you know, taking people who are living in the tunnels. There's, I don't know if you know about Vegas, but it has tunnels, that 600 miles worth of tunnels that are used to divert water when it rains underneath the city. And down in there, there's like kind of a city under the city of people, a few thousand people who live there and have lived there, and a few of them have lived there for decades. And just stack up some pallets and let the water flow under you when it rains, and you're all good. And you can set up a little house down there. They got a mayor, they got a sheriff, they got, you know, everything. It's a trip. But anyway, so I've taken some people in from there, and you know, and seeing them kick ass, making recovery. But it's you know, that wasn't quite the model, because it wasn't who I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to prevent them from getting to that place. So if they've already gotten there, it's like, well, it didn't prevent anything. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. What else was the last one? I think that was it, homelessness and stuff like that. So anyway, just trying to explain all these issues, like, okay, we're focusing on all of these issues, and the way we're doing it is through student housing, and having these monthly meetings where we refer, you know, have other organizations that can do with higher level stuff beyond housing. Anyway, I had a hard time getting that message across, so I'm hoping that doing these videos and hopefully getting better at it will kind of start to, I don't know, get that awareness out there, you know, I guess, of like how prevention can work, like what does prevention look like, you know, because I think that's one of the biggest issues with us, veterans especially, is like people just don't know who we are. They don't know anything about us, you know, they don't know how to deal with us, they don't know what our issues are, so it's like they don't know how to prevent the issue because they don't even know what the issue is. Nobody's figured it out. But I feel like I do, you know, I feel like I've put in a lot of years into studying these issues. Just about done with the PhD, you know. I don't know, I have a lot of my own experience. You know, I was a Marine myself, went to Iraq twice, you know, had my own story of recovery, and you know, whatever little slump when I came back, and before I, you know, got a lot of help for myself. That was needed. You know, anybody who goes through combat should need some kind of help. Like, if you go through combat and you come out perfectly fine on the other end, and it doesn't bother you what you did over there, like, I don't know. I think psychology would usually call that like sociopathic. But I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I think that's about it. I'll wrap this up. It's getting long. I'm rambling. So that's it for this Sunday. I will start doing some like presentations with the whiteboard. Actually going through like some numbers of where money's going and that kind of stuff. Try to get a little more educational here instead of me just rambling so much. So, all right, take care. Have a good night. Thanks.